Chase Miller, and this is the YourLiveEvent.com Coaches Show as presented to you by the Hillsboro Economic Development Corporation. This week, we'll sit down with two football coaches with Bryan Strand from the Barnesville Trojans and Kevin Feeney with the Moorhead Spuds. We'll hear from Kathleen Rustad on Hawley Nugget Volleyball this coming fall, and we'll sit down with Hillsboro Central Valley standout Christian Brist as part of our senior spotlight on the cross-country side of things. But first, let's hear from Bryan Strand, who sat down with our own Joe Lancello.
Welcome back to the Year Live Event Coaches Show, brought to you by the Hillsboro Economic Development Corporation. I'm Joe Lancello with Bryan Strand, the coach of the Barnesville Trojans, the reigning and defending Class AA state champions, as they get ready to open their season on Friday night against DGF. Bryan, how has things been looking so far for your team?
Good. We had our scrimmage on Saturday over in Breckenridge, and we scrimmaged Breckenridge and Morris. I thought our kids did really well for the day. We came out of it healthy, and I think they're just eager to play a game now.
It must have been nice for them to finally hit somebody else.
Yeah, exactly.
How many players did you lose from last year's team?
I believe we had 18 seniors.
Okay, and quite a few of those were impact players for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
And who do you have back?
We have our quarterback, Zach Bredman, back. Zach was fantastic throughout the year. He actually really got going, I think, when the playoffs started last year. We have Ethan Larson back, who saw time at running back, who was also a starter on defense. Gann Ballgreen, who will be a starting safety and fullback, got plenty of time last year as a backup quarterback. Justin Kruger at center. Justin has been a three-year starter at center. He's a big, strong kid. I think he put up 370 pounds on the bench press first day of practice. So he is definitely strong. Nick Robidoux started last year as a sophomore guard. He moved there from the fullback position, and he also started at linebacker for us last year. He's back on both sides. Trying to think. Peyton Amundsen started at D end. He'll be starting at offensive end and defensive end this year. And we have, Major Ness, Cam Halverson played last year as freshman, a lot of special teams, but now they'll be starting one side of the ball, possibly two, depending on what we're doing defensively. So we have quite a few back. I think I have 15 seniors this year.
That's not bad.
No, it's not.
I'm trying to think how will this year's team be different from last year's? Will there be a different strong point?
No, I think Zach has really stepped up from last year to this year. Last year he was an inexperienced junior. He looked absolutely fantastic at our scrimmage on Saturday. We're throwing the ball really, really well right now. We're doing a lot of the same stuff. So a lot of these guys got in, as seconds last year. So there's not a lot of new stuff for them. I would say we're bigger at the running back position. So our running backs are required to block in our offense quite a bit. And by being a little bit bigger in the back position, I think gives us a little bit more to throw at teams as well. Bigger bodies coming at you. We lost a lot of really good players last year. I think that, I think by year's end, this team could be, if we can stay healthy, can be in a similar spot or at least competing for that similar spots from last year, whether that's in the district, the section, or even the state.
It kind of sounds like everybody has forgotten the fact that you are the defending state champions and that nobody's kind of coasting on that.
No, yeah, I imagine we're going to get everybody's best. And what better way to start off than DGF the very first night? My son's one of their coaches for basketball over there, so he and I drove down for that state championship game last year, and what a tough way to lose that last game. But they played right with the best in the state. They've got a lot coming back. They're very well coached. Kids are big and strong. I think it should be great matchup for us.
It's always that way because you're a close rival anyways.
Exactly. Yep.
And then throw in the fact that they've had a bit of success, and well, you both finished the year playing at US Bank Stadium.
Right.
Can't argue that.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Looking at the region, who do you see as teams to beat? I would imagine you fancy yourselves as one of the teams to beat.
Well, I think that every year, I think that we can put a competitive team out there. The biggest thing with our size of school is that, you really have to try hard to stay healthy. Last year we made the run because we were healthy at the end, and we had a lot of depth. I would say Pelican Rapids is a very solid team. I think Hawley has a solid team. I think Frazee is an up-and-coming team. They had a lot of young kids playing last year. I could see them making a late season push as well. But I want to, for all of the ones I just mentioned, as far as section teams, Park Rapids is new this year that they actually petitioned to drop down to AA. They're actually a 3A team, but they petitioned the state and were able to drop down a class. I really don't know a ton about them, but they're a bigger school. So, I think it could be anybody's game depending on, again, if you can stay healthy or not.
That's interesting. I've heard of teams wanting to move up, say the way Roseau does in hockey or Minneapolis North in boys basketball.
Right. But I think that their district is so large, and I think that they have a very large free and reduced count. I think that they have different aspects of it. They have not been successful. So every once in a while you can petition the high school league to say, can we drop down for a year? And they review each case one by one, and they were allowed to drop down a class.
Okay. So the Trojans open up at home on Friday night, taking on Dilworth, Glendon Fountain. Bryan Strand, thanks so much, and hopefully another solid season for the Trojans.
I hope so. Thank you.
We'll be back with more on YourLiveEvent.com, the Coaches Show, brought to you by Hillsboro Economic Development Corporation, after this.
Live, work, and play here in Hillsboro, North Dakota. The Hillsboro Economic Development Committee can assist you with information and support for business and housing. Experience Hillsboro. More at 104.
Joining us now from the Moorhead Spuds is head football coach, that is Kevin Feeney, as they open up their season tomorrow night in Minnesota at home against Spring Lake Park. And Thursday night before Labor Day weekend, why not get the football flying in Minnesota? And Kevin, fall camp is always nice to kind of get the players back, players in new roles in different positions. But as you are gearing up here with game week and game day around the corner, just how was fall camp first and foremost from a Moorhead Spud point of view, Kevin?
It went really well. We had a lot of good battles. We've got a very young football team, so there's been some great energy out on the field. And like I said, some great competitions. And, when you get to this time of year, you want to really kind of try to start to put together the puzzle pieces, let this team develop its own identity and things like that. But it's time to start hitting somebody else. We've been going after each other for quite a bit, and you can just kind of see the tempers are getting up there a little bit, which we want a very competitive practice, but on the same token, we're a very united team, and we got to get going here.
Take us through some of the players that are returning. I know I've asked you earlier about DJ Smith a little bit before the interview. Rain Battle, you got Owen and Jake. Those are some of the guys. But outside of them, Kevin, is it those are the main players, or are those going to be some of the players early on in the year that you're going to look to as, leaders off the field in terms of practice, what they're doing in school, and on the field when it finally gets to, 4 quarters of football?
No doubt. I think those are the guys that, the outside world will know because they've seen them play for us and they've had some success for us on Friday nights in years past. But, we've got some other guys that we feel have some good experience. David Carlson, David Krabenhoft, Ron Adu, that have been a part of our defensive line, and they've got to be a mainstay for us. And early on, it's not uncommon in the game of football that defense is got to carry you early in the season. Offenses typically are going to struggle a little bit early on. And, we've got guys like Kate Allmendinger, who's played a lot of football at linebacker, Jack Olstead, Tate Lynn. So we've got some guys, primarily with more experience on the defensive side. Ashton Speaker is one of our offensive linemen that returns with Jake Erdman. But other than that, we've got a lot of fresh faces out there. And I keep telling people, make sure you got your roster in hand because you're going to be looking down and up a lot here these first few weeks.
Take us through maybe what the players learned from last year, your run to a state tournament again to make the quarterfinals. From a win-loss record, maybe not what you wanted, but as you know, Kevin, it's all about what you do later on in the season once you get to that time of the year, trying to stay healthy and put a good October into November in Minnesota for football together. So what were some of the things that the players coming back from last year's team want to build on for the 2023 version of the Spuds?
I would say from a positive note that your section games throughout the year take precedence over everything else. And you know what? We went through a really rough stretch last year during the regular season. But like you said, in Minnesota with the opportunity, everybody makes the playoffs. I really felt like we hit our stride at the right time. And what's crazy is the amount of losses that we ended up having, but they weren't losses in section. And so we ended up getting the 2 seed, which allowed us to get a home game. And then there were some upsets and we ended up hosting the section championship game. So, you know what, for us, it's all about the end of October into early November is when we've got to be hitting our peak. And we certainly did that last year. And I think that's what our kids understand first and foremost. But, obviously we don't want to have as many bumps in the road as maybe we did, but who's to say that we really didn't learn from those, and that's why we were a success at the end. So it's twofold, but you know what, we've got a really young football team, and we're going to have our challenges throughout this year, but we've got to keep that kind of same mentality that we did last year, and just saying, you know what, we've got to continually just get that 1% better every single day, and then let the chips fall where they may at the end of the season, and just give ourselves an opportunity in the fourth quarters come section playoffs.
Take us through that opener against Spring Lake Park. Win, lose, or draw. I always ask coaches this, whether you're bringing back a ton of talent in terms of, experience or potentially in some different cases, as you're talking about, Kevin, you maybe have a lot of new faces in area roles. Win, lose, or draw, no matter who you're playing, as a coach on an opening night of football, what do you want to see from your team on that opener?
Well, I can play both sides. I think as a coach, you want to spin it to your team however it plays out, and they don't award section or state championships in week 1 and 2. And so first and foremost, I'm kind of one of those that really preaches to our team about living in the middle, and we can't get too high if we play well, and we can't get too low if we don't play well, because it is week 1. But Spring Lake Park, it's a team we have not played in my time here at Moorhead High School, but I certainly am extremely aware of their success level at the 5A in the state of Minnesota. They last year, I believe, had 3 losses. 2 of those losses were to one team that played in the state championship game and one team that played in the state semifinals in Rogers, who was a common opponent with us. So, we understand the history that Spring Lake Park has. And the style of football, it's a little bit different. They're kind of a throwback team offensively, where they're running some split back, triple option type stuff, which we typically don't see anymore. And then defensively, they just really believe in what they do, and they play extremely hard, and they get to the football. And there's a reason why they've had the success that they've had. They produce great talent at the next level. I know they have a North Dakota State freshman offensive lineman that's really, really highly touted. But every year, it seems like Spring Lake Park has guys that are going on to the next level, and I believe they have a guy that's currently playing in the NFL. So we know the challenge we're up against, but like I said, it is week 1. And so, throughout this entire fall camp, you focus on yourself. Yes, now that we're into game week, you're going to really start delving into what the game plan is going to be. But the biggest thing is when you got all these new guys, you got to really kind of stick to what that install was in fall camp before we start making all the modifications.
And you mentioned about college athletes, and something that I like to kind of ask coaches a little bit. We'll talk about some of the alum for the Moorhead Spuds here in a moment that have gone on to play Power 5, obviously throughout the Red River Valley with UND, NDSU, D2, D3, and so forth, Kevin. But from a college perspective, if someone comes up to you as a freshman through a junior, year, kind of saying, hey, coach, what do I got to do to be a college athlete? No matter what level of football it is, that is a commitment in its own right to get to the next level. But as coaches, there's no AAU, there's no travel ball, there's nothing of that nature. So how much do you and your staff, Kevin, throughout a calendar year talk about recruiting and helping someone maybe achieve their goals, their dreams on getting an opportunity from a Moorhead Spud player to play at the collegiate level once their time in Moorhead's done?
We really, really pride ourselves on that. As important it is to be a part of our Spud football program during the season, we make it that much importance on guys that want to play at the next level out of the season. And sometimes that's a challenge, making sure that kids understand the main thing is the main thing, which right now it's all about Spud football. But outside of the season, man, we want to get our guys as much exposure as we possibly can. Like you said, we've got guys literally at every level right now in college football. And, we really, really take a lot of ownership on helping kids understand, number one, what it takes to play at that level. Number two, what it's like to manage your days and times and the commitment that you're signing up for. And, then I really try to communicate with kids and families on saying, hey, it's not my job to evaluate what level you are. That's what the college coaches are doing. But I want to make sure I get you as properly prepared for that, both on the field and off the field as I possibly can. And, we've had great success. We've had a lot of Division I guys. We've had a lot of Division II, Division III, and NAIA. And I really am biased, but in our part of the world, up here in the Midwest, I feel like there's really great coaching and really great opportunities for kids to have a phenomenal experience at whatever level that they're able to play at. And so I want to go see guys. I tell them all the time here during fall camp, I usually try to get out and visit with them. If I can't get to their practices, I'm definitely messaging them and trying to just kind of find out how their fall camp is going and making sure that they understand, kind of like I said, there's a lot of challenges with college football, but I go back to, so those were some of the best times of my life. And I want as many kids to have that opportunity as we possibly can.
How fun is it on a Saturday if you have an opportunity? Obviously, from what your son's been able to do, I know with the UND, that story's been talked a lot about with, the Bison and the Fighting Hawks, the old Sioux. But whether it's Power 5 with Davis, a guy that literally stood off the page on the roster and on the football field, to maybe someone who's playing at Concordia or NDSCS or VCSU, Kevin, how fun is it for you and your coaches on a Saturday when you have an opportunity to watch a game, to go to a game locally, to see the Spud alums, so to speak, having that next level opportunity?
It's almost like that. Obviously, you said something about Trey, and so I get to go be a dad every now and then with Trey on Saturdays. But and I try to do that. I get to be the old man dad that I'm not their dad, but I get to be the old man that thinks that they're dad, that just gets to sit in the crowd and be so excited for them and just so prideful in what they've accomplished. And like you said, I love college football. We work. Obviously, we play on Friday nights. We work on Sundays as a staff. We want to give our kids as many opportunities to go see game days. So we don't do anything as an organized event with our staff or our team on Saturdays. And really that's what it's about, is we want guys to go out and see what college football is like. We want to go see our current players that are playing at that level. And it's just super fun because, even though I can't get to everything in today's world of streaming and all this kind of stuff, my wife kind of jokes with me, the minute I wake up on Saturday morning till literally about 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning, I'm usually watching college football of some sort and really trying to make sure that I can follow our guys and follow their successes.
Hey, Kevin, thanks so much for your time. Thanks talking a little bit about, again, how a player goes from the high school to the college game, what's kind of some of the behind-the-scenes work, and best of luck this season for the Moorhead Spuds.
Hey, I appreciate it. Appreciating what you guys do for high school football in our area.
Hey growers, when working on your water management solutions, call Chad's Excavating out of Mayville. They are your water management contractor, helping you with tile drainage plans, service drainage plans, or both. Remember, water management is a lifetime investment. Call Chad 701-430-0182 to get your water problem solved. For more information, follow Chad's Excavating on Facebook. For tile drainage and service plans, call 701-430-0182. Chad's Excavating out of Mayville, helping farmers grow.
Do you want that new boat? Are you building onto your home? Maybe you want the new camper or ATV. Dakota Heritage Bank can help you. This is Dustin Nagel, president at Dakota Heritage Bank Hillsboro location. You can visit with me or our other loan officers to help with loans and lines of credit from Dakota Heritage Bank. We are serving you with locations in North Dakota and Northwest Minnesota. Dakota Heritage Bank offers financial services you expect with a local perspective. dhbanknd.com. Dakota Heritage Bank, Equal Housing Lender, member FDIC.
There's more at 104. Hillsboro, North Dakota has everything you need on your next road trip. Food, fuel, fun, and family-friendly activities. Stop by and fill up your tank or grab a bite to eat. Have a blast at Goose River Golf Club, the swimming pool, or one of our beautiful parks. There's even ice skating and cross-country skiing. Take in the sights or stay the night so you don't miss a thing. Experience Hillsboro and see why there's more at 104.
Coming up, we'll chat with Hawley Nugget Volleyball with Kathleen Rustad. But first, it's time for our Senior Spotlight, where our own James Martins caught up with Christian Brist this past weekend in Hillsboro at the Hillsboro Cross Country Meet.
James Martins, your live event, Senior Spotlight. Please be joined by Hillsboro Central Valley senior runner Christian Brist after the home tournament today at the Hillsboro Golf Club. And Christian, give me your thoughts on your race today.
I came in thinking I was going to run like 1640s because that's around where I ran last year, but I had a football game last night. But I ran 1618 and I felt pretty good about it.
Conditions seem pretty good today for running?
Yeah, it was kind of sunny, but it was still cool outside and there's a little breeze, which was nice, so it was pretty good conditions.
Let's go through your last few years. Top three finisher at state each of the last 2 years. Kind of ran into some guys from Bowman County and Hayes and Beulah in front of you. What are you hoping to do this year?
This year, I'm hoping for a top two finish. Keaton, the guy who beat me today, me and him are buddies, and he's the only guy I don't care about beating me. But my goal is basically to beat all the Bowman kids and anyone else.
Tough task. Of course, those runners down in Bowman, they do a heck of a job. Christian, you were a top three ranked runner coming into your senior season. Your thoughts on getting that recognition? Speechless, huh? Your team was also ranked number 4. How does that make you feel?
I think that's we can definitely place top 4, but we have some underdogs this year. I think we can get a top 3 team finish this year.
You mentioned you played football as well as cross country. Walk me through the challenges that brings.
Yeah, so the first challenge was getting my coaches on board with dual sporting, but we've been doing it for the past couple weeks, and it's going pretty good.
Walk me through kind of your whole high school experience, running experience up to this point. Give me some highlights from your career.
So I started 7th grade. I never ran before. Kirk recruited me, and I kind of just was one of the runners on the team. Like, no one really knew about me. And then we got to regions, and I started hitting PRs. And then 8th grade, I ran with Luke Lushik. He was a senior, so I knew I started getting good. And then 9th grade came around. I was running kind of slow all year. And then we got to the last couple of meets of the year, and I just hit nice times. Won the region in 9th grade, got 6th place as a freshman at the state meet. And then the next year, I ended up losing the region meet my sophomore year, but I came back and got 2nd. And then last year as a junior, I got 3rd place at state, which I was hoping for a better finish, but it was still pretty good.
Christian, you mentioned Coach Zink and the coaching staff, Hillsboro Central Valley. Walk me through your relationship with Kirk and the rest of the coaches.
Kirk has always been there for me. He's been my favorite coach for the longest time. And then we have his daughter. She was my teammate, Jensen Zink. She's also a really good coach, really good to talk to. She knows what it's like because she ran with us. And then we have Shayla Fossum. She used to be our coach, but she had to take a break for like school and stuff. But now she's back, and I like to have her. She's a really good coach, and she's a physical therapist, so she can help us with injuries and stuff like that.
Before the interview, Christian, we were talking about kind of some individuals, past and present, that have really pushed you. It's a very camaraderie in cross country is very good, I want to say. And give me some individuals, maybe now this season, that are pushing you to be better.
My coaches, obviously, and then just some of the guys like Keaton some runners I've known for a long time that I have good relationships with. We all know that we can run comfortable together and try to push each other, be competitive, but we're also friends at the end of the day.
Christian, what else do you want our viewers to know about Hillsboro Central Valley cross country or your goals for this season?
My goals, like I said earlier, is definitely a top 2 finish. I would like to be a state champion, but I know football will take me down a little bit, but I'll just keep working as hard as I can. And then as a team, our goals are definitely top 3 this year, and I want to see some of the younger kids like Trey and Nico step up and get some state finishes.
Hillsboro Central Valley senior runner Christian Brist joining us in our senior spotlight. Christian, thanks so much, and best luck the rest of the way.
Thank you.
Hillsboro Economic Development Committee provides information and a support for small businesses. Experience Hillsboro. More at 104.
Visiting with Kathleen Rustad. She is head coach of the Hawley Nugget Volleyball Program, Section 8A, Heart of Lakes Conference, 8AA, in Heart of Lakes Conference. And a chance to bring in Kathleen with our preseason previews and, of course, with YourLiveEvent.com as well on the Coaches Show. And Kathleen, appreciate your time. Great to have you back. And I know we're looking forward to having home matches for the Nuggets again on YourLiveEvent.com this fall and seeing the progress. We chatted on the radio last week about just, your excitement for the season and the kids' excitement for the season. And once again, it should be a fun fall for Nugget volleyball fans. And I guess just from that standpoint, we're now 2 weeks into this season. What's the kids' energy like here after the first week of practice?
Well, I think that first week of practice, we're in the gym a couple of times. We have a morning, afternoon practice and not a whole lot of scrimmages going on. Well, this week's been a little different story. They've actually got to put a little bit more time on the floor with scrimmages. We went up to East Grand Forks yesterday. We also got to go to Moorhead Monday. And I think they're starting to feel like, it actually feels like volleyball, competition and stuff like that. They did great. I'm just going to commend the girls for, those scrimmages when you're there for 4 hours straight. And you're pretty much playing nonstop. You might have little breaks here and there, but their focus is for beginning of the season. I'm impressed. We'll put it that way. Seeing a new team, we're changing up some things. Each scrimmage, we kind of change our focus a little bit, because those scrimmages, like I said, when you're going at East Grand Forks, I think we were there for about 7 hours, 6 hours, something like that. It gets to be a little bit long, right? So refocus. Got a great group of girls. Energy's fun. We just had a little event, team bonding today. Had a little competition in the gym against the football players. So that's always a little fun. Gets their competitive edge going a little bit. So that was fun. It's fun to be in the gym, though.
Right, exactly. And you bring it up. If you get the opportunity to do some things that are fun, make it lighter, but you're still getting something out of the practice. And then the team bonding aspect, I don't know if we can put enough on that. You've said over the years, that the bus is a good bonding place for your team because you take away the cell phones and you force them into some good habits. I think that aspect of team also really matters. When I was on the bus, it was just early cell phone run. So it wasn't an issue for us, but everybody had headphones on and stuff, but it's a unique aspect you brought in.
I would say the girls always ask me, are you taking our phones, Kat? Or when are you taking our phones, Kat? And as soon as Paige usually gets up and is walking around the bus, they just hand them over. Yep. So there really is nobody that fights us on us. Not yet, anyway. So let's hope it keeps going that way. I think on our bus ride yesterday, we went to East Grand Forks, and I think they played a game straight for about an hour and a half. So that was fun to see. A lot of team bonding going on.
Wonderful. And I know that you're gearing up to get in as we chat ahead of the Concordia Smorgasbord getting in the scrimmage. A ton of volleyball. I can only imagine as a fan of the game like you are too. You got volleyballs flying everywhere. I've never been and never attended. I just have visions of mass chaos at Concordia.
I would say that's probably what it is. Plus, if you go into the Concordia gym, they only have that little teeny tiny walkway or something up on the top. So a lot of people crunched in a small area, teams running everywhere, parents, grandparents, friends, family, whatever, kind of sneaking, peeking too, right? They want to get a chance to see the girls. And I would recommend if anybody is in the area, Fargo, Moorhead area, it may be a little bit of chaos, but it's fun to see, get a snapshot of what's to come.
There you go. Now with that scrimmage and the opportunity, I know we chatted on the radio a little bit about, your returning student athletes, and maybe we'll touch a little bit on them. But I guess just from the amount of volleyball you'll get during that Saturday, what are some of the things you're maybe looking for, hoping to achieve with the smorgasbord opportunity?
You probably get this from a lot of people, but gelling on the court, right? they're coming in, even though we've had how many practices, there's still some things that you want to tweak, or let's say our offense, we want to do play sets. We get a lot of opportunities to do that at a scrimmage. You're seeing different teams, and you're seeing different types of hitters. We can work a couple different defenses. Particularly, I want to see our defense get better. I know that we have some great defenders, but if we're all doing the same type of defense, it only makes us better. And the adage is, what, defense wins championships? Well, we want to get better at it. So that'll be our goal for Saturday.
All right. Well, for those who haven't maybe followed the Nugget volleyball team, or maybe thinking, I wonder who's back. Who are some of your stars you're relying on here so far?
We've got a lot of girls back. So we have our one senior, Leah Tibbetts. She's back. She saw the floor last year. Then down to juniors, Izzy Steer. We have Ingrid Rustad. We have Haley Jelinek coming back. She's an add too, but she's also junior. Sophomores, we got lots. McKenna Walker saw the floor. We saw Kendallin, or Annika Johnson, hit the floor. A new one would be Kendallin Hill. Let's see, we have Sella Fleming. She's the other setter. Got to go down the list here of my whole roster. Sadie Martin's another one. She's a new add here. Going to see more playing time. Mallory Halverson. She had a jersey last year. Probably going to see some more playing time. And then Katie Vetter. She is the 9th grader coming on. She saw a lot of time last year too. So we've given out probably 11, 12 jerseys. So we got some left to fill, but it's early in the season. But we got a lot of returners that saw the floor last year.
We look at, we're going to start, you get the practice season and this preseason activity. And then, September 5th rolls around, and now it's all new routine for everybody. You get into the school day and all that jazz. So one more week really to kind of gear up. What's the start of the season look like for the Nuggets? Who do you have the first serve against?
We have our first game next Thursday, official game against Monaga. We have a home game. It'll be a little bit different because we don't have a school day when we've had a home game. So, I haven't been a head coach for very long in Hawley. And I think last year our first home game was, or not last year, 2 years ago, our first home game, I think it was at Moorhead still, or maybe it was Fergus. I honestly, I can't remember. But it'll be a little different because we won't have a school day to kind of amp everybody up. And then the following first day of school will be away at Moorhead. So a little different. But hopefully we'll get a whole lot of people coming to support us on the 31st next Thursday for our first home game against Monaga.
Should be a great game. I know we'll have a coverage on yourliveevent.com. Joe Lancello will be there that night. I'm on baby watch big time, and you and I have talked about that. So I'm off that first week. Otherwise, you might have got me. But I know that throughout the season, we look forward to following Nugget volleyball, and it should be a lot of fun. You talk about just area competition. Every given night should be really entertaining again.
I would say, yeah, there's lots of teams in our league, even in the scrimmages, think, oh, wow, they're not really performing, but a lot can happen in a week or even 2 weeks in our section, especially.
No doubt about it. Okay, so for those who are not aware, you have a line in NDSU volleyball, and we talked about, you and I chatted about it last year a little bit with Jana Engel, formerly Jana Ripke, college time, and you guys are coaching in the same area. We'll see each other in September, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's on the schedule. Twofold here questions for you, Kathleen, and I'll let you roll because I didn't talk about this with you on the radio last week. So number one is, hey, Bison volleyball is number 2 in the preseason rankings. You got to be pretty excited about that.
You bet I am. They kind of say once a Bison, always a Bison. So true. It's fun to support them, fun to see them, fun that they're close. Unfortunately, when you're coaching your own team, it is a little bit of a challenge to see them or go in person and see them. Hopefully we'll get there. Last summer, we got a chance as a team to go to their camp, and it is great to be back in the Bison or the Benson Bunker Fieldhouse, seeing those girls at the camps, working with my own Nugget family. It's brings back a lot of memories, that's for sure. But I can't but cheer for them every single time that I see a win on the scoreboard for them. And going to see Jen Lopez and Kelly Lopez, and they're local people too. So you see a lot of fans in the area that are promoting not only the team, but the coaches and the culture and everything. So it's pretty fun. Pretty excited for them too.
Really cool. Part two of this is 50 years of volleyball, girls volleyball in Minnesota this year. First year was 1974. It is a recognition. I know Coach Jim Lee at Ada West is heavily involved in bringing forward. Could you imagine where you would have been without having volleyball, or what all these kids would have been? Could be, it's just a reason to celebrate.
I would agree with you too. I have parents or mother-in-laws or lots of female athletes that went before me too that celebrated the 50 years. And I would say my experience at NDSU, Lynn Dorn was our AD at that time, female athletic director, very huge proponent. Motivated teams, multiple teams, not just volleyball, but across the board. She was a huge spokesperson in that. And I think that was a big key to their success at NDSU, but that was all through this area. She was kind of an iconic there. So thank you to Lynn Dorn too in NDSU, but even Hawley women's volleyball, Hawley volleyball, Winnie Mac volleyball, way long time ago, Foston volleyball. That was, our area was pretty well known, I think, for that too, but it had to do with a lot of those females that went before us too, that got all those teams rolling and brought them down to the cities. And that was like the big town, right? We're coming from little itty bitty Winnie Mac or Foston to the big city. I vividly remember going down there and feeling like a little guy, but competing, which was very fun. Kind of similar to Hawley, going down to the big city and competing. It's kind of fun.
Yeah. 2 years ago you were there, and I know your girls would love to see another run. So hopefully this is a season that you can put it together again. But Kathleen, thank you very much again for the time. Appreciate it. Good luck to you and the Nuggets as the season unfolds, and we'll be there following along.
Thank you very much, Kevin. Go Nuggets.
Hey, look, I found Bigfoot. How tall is he? What? No, not that Bigfoot. The Bigfoot Trail. The Bigfoot Trail? Yeah, it's the Trail County Parks and Walking Challenge. All you have to do is visit at least 10 of 12 parks listed on the clue sheet, answer questions about each park, and return the completed sheet to the Trail District Health Unit by September 30th. Do I get anything if I complete the challenge? Yes, you get a free t-shirt and other participation prizes. Get your sheet on the Trail District Health Unit website and get your feet moving on the Bigfoot Trail.
Bank of North Dakota wants you to be confident when it's time to make student loan decisions. Visit bnd.nd.gov/confident to calculate the maximum amount of student loan debt that is recommended based on your career choice. You can also learn how to apply for financial aid and get tips to cut education expenses. Visit bnd.nd.gov/confident today.
Treat yourself to a great career at American Crystal Sugar Company. Team up with quality people making quality products. Full-time and year-round in a stable business. With great pay and benefits including time off available from day one, American Crystal Sugar Company invests in you to promote your continued growth and career advancement. Grow your career doing your best work within the world's best beet sugar company. Apply online today at AmericanCrystalCareers.com.
James Martin's here with you on the Your Live Event Coaches Show. Please be joined by the head coach of Thompson Girls Volleyball in Lisa Strand. And Thompson, you've had a lot of opportunities, let's just say, to perfect your craft and to know what you're looking for coming into the preseason. Coming into year number 35, what's different and what's the same?
Every year is different, with different kids, and you just have a different combination all the time, and just kind of have to figure out what works best for them. There is no one good, perfect rotation or anything. You kind of develop it. And right now we've got something we're going to try. And if it doesn't work out, well, we'll be back to the drawing board and see what happens. This early in the season stuff is really fun because you just get to see the kids and see what they're capable of doing and then go from there.
You've built quite an impressive program at Thompson with coming off another third-place finish at the state tournament last year. Kind of walk us through last season and who's coming back to try again this year.
Well, last season was it started out kind of rough with our main hitter was Summer Haig, and she had an ankle injury that just would not heal. So we did a lot of things different throughout the beginning of the season. And then when she came back, then we could get into a rotation that really we clicked a little bit better with. And so had more success as the time went on. But with every season, somebody else steps up. Because of Summer being hurt, Brenna Martin just really picked up her game, and she really, really did a lot of nice things. And I don't know if, she would have gotten that opportunity otherwise. So it was a good thing for us. Clara Stevens, who graduated, as along with Summer graduating, and Clara Stevens, our right side. I mean, I haven't had a right side that is that capable of doing so many things and just like a hard worker. And she just really was a good one for us. And so we're working on, filling that spot too. And then you can't say enough about Jordan West, who graduated, our libero, and she picked up everything. So again, another big spot to fill. So although we only graduated 3, we have a lot of spots to fill, and then there's some that, changed their mind about coming out for volleyball. So, with that opened the door for a lot of other people, and they're really stepping up and filling in those holes.
You mentioned players stepping up. Maybe who in particular is shining during the first few weeks of practice?
Well, we've got to train a new middle, and Danica Gross has been doing a nice job for us there. We've also got some young other youngsters like Abby Olson, who's doing well, and Jordan Tozer is back from last year, but she's back and stronger than ever, and she's just really hitting the ball well and doing a great job blocking too. We've also got who was hurt at the state tournament, and that was Reese Danner, and she has worked her tail off to try to get ready and be prepared for this season. And so she's just done a nice job to get ready. And so we have her too back. Sydney Schwabe, as a setter, Sydney and Josie, those two, again, 2 senior setters, how fortunate and unfortunate at the same time, because they are going to graduate, but, we're going to relish in it with them as long as we can this year. But we've got some good kids like Kylie Hubner too, that back from last year, who is more confident and a better blocker as well. So she's playing hard. And then you've got, kids that in the back row are stepping up, Addison Roller and Lexi Olson. So I'm just very pleased with everyone and all of their abilities and everything that they've been doing so far this season. I'm very pleased with. Drew Schwab played for us last year, and she is getting up in the air a little higher and swinging harder. So, we've got some good options. We just somebody has to put it together in the right way. And I guess that's my job. And hopefully I don't screw things up.
Coach, we were talking a little bit before the interview about the kind of the tournament schedule. Volleyball is one of those special sports where you have the individual games like normal, but you also have the invitational tournaments. Kind of walk us through the schedule this year for Thompson Volleyball. We'll save New Rockford Cheyenne for our other conversation.
Okay, well, our first tournament, invitational tournament, would be Central Cass, and that's coming up. It's the Volley in the Valley, and it's a great tournament. Lots of teams, 20 teams there, and so that's going to be a good test. Get to see a bunch of things, and hey, and if we need to change things or try it, it's a great time to do that. Then we go on to play some regular season games, and then at the end of the month is the DLB tournament. We go out to the Lax Burlington tournament, and there too, another opportunity now to open it up and see a few more teams from around the state, which, it's kind of nice to get an opportunity to see that. Class A, they do crossovers and they play outside of their area more often. Ours is probably just that DLB tournament where we really get to see teams from, way out west and everything. So that's fun. And then we also do the Langdon tournament, and, Langdon's always competitive and they have a great tournament up there. And so we get another opportunity to just, kind of see where we're at and play some good, hard, strong volleyball and then go into the final stretch. And then, the region tournament would be the last event, unless, of course, something better happens.
Just walk me briefly through how Region 2 you think is going to look this year.
Region 2 is just improving all the time, and we've always had a strong region, but, different teams are showing up again. Park River is going to be strong again, and they didn't graduate hardly any, and so they're going to be tough. Grafton is going to have a good, strong team, and then there's Mayport, who has a lot of athletes, and they're really a good. They're a good defensive team as well as offensive team, so they've got a lot going for them too. Other teams are coming around. Midway Minto has been improving, and so has Larimore. They're working to improve, and North Border's got a tough group up there, that we don't see as often, but they've got a good group. All these area teams are really stepping up. I think that their coaches, sometimes it's hard because these teams don't have availability of somebody to stay and coach and be in the system for a while. I think that's one of the reasons that I've been able to have some success is the continuity. And with changeover of coaches, you get different ideas, different philosophies, different ways of doing things. And so there's just so many changes. Sometimes it's hard for the kids to do that. But now we're seeing more continuity in coaching around the area, and that's going to really improve volleyball here in Region 2. Not that it needed improving, but I think more teams will be vying for the title in the end.
We're privileged to be able to have a bevy of Thompson games on your live event, so we'll see your team in action all season long. But Coach, anything else you want to mention in general to our viewers?
Just that, your live event does a great job covering the matches, so it's really nice to have you available and have you here so that people at home can see it, and people around the country. I have a niece and a grandniece that watch out in Vegas, and so they're always calling me and excited about it, and so that's really fun. And I know a lot of people have grandparents and things, so they're very pleased that we're able to you come and show these games and broadcast for us. But overall, I think it's going to be a great season and a fun season and a very competitive season here in Region 2 and throughout the state. There's a lot of really good teams out there.
Thompson head girls volleyball coach Lisa Strand joining us. Lisa, thanks so much. Best of luck the rest of the year.
Thank you.
That does it for our YourLiveEvent.com Coaches Show, is presented to you by the Hillsboro Economic Development Corporation. Join us each Wednesday night starting at 7 on YourLiveEvent.com. Next week, we'll hear from the North Dakota High School Activities Association Executive Director. That's Matt Fetch with an update on the NDHSAA. That and more coming up on next week's version of the YourLiveEvent.com Coaches Show.